Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Please be advised that as part of preparations to make ensure your productive participation at LAC India Forum, we have simultaneous translation services available. Therefore, if you require the service, you may request the equipment at the booth on the back of the hall. They will be willing to assist you. Thank you very much. We're also pleased to inform you that we have organized an interinstitutional setting located at the Sabogas meeting room, where representatives of Panama Minister of Trade and Industry and the Authority for the Attraction of Investments and Promotion of Exports, ProPanama, will gladly share with interest parties relevant information pertaining to the advantages that Panama offers for the establishment of the international companies under the different investment laws for the promotion of foreign direct investment effective in our country here in Panama. CAF also has arranged to have copies at your tables of the policy report entitled New Horizons, New Hopes for the LAC-India Relationship, which will be presented today. We are sure this document will be great interest for you. And now we ask you kindly return to your seats to begin the inauguration ceremony of the Latin American and the Caribbean Indian Forum. Thank you very much. Good afternoon and welcome to Panama. We're pleased to have you here in the inauguration of the LAC India Business Forum, New Horizons, New Hopes. We are asked right now to the Excellency Federico Alfaro Boy, Minister of Commerce and Industry, Government of Panama, to kindly share with us the welcome address. Welcome, everybody.
Your Excellency, Dr. S. Jaishankar, Minister of External Affairs of the Government of India. Her Excellency, Mrs. Janaina Tewani, Minister of Foreign Affairs of the Government of Panama. Mr. Ian Schroff, Chairman, LAC Committee and Chairman and Group and CEO of UPL. Ms. Carolina España, Executive Vice President at CAF, Development Bank for Latin America. Ministers and Vice Ministers, national government authorities, diplomatic corps, representatives of associations, media, ladies and gentlemen, we begin henceforth the Latin America and the Caribbean India Forum. I would like to dedicate my opening remarks in giving a warm welcome to all of our guests visiting from India and many from the Latin American region. Welcome to Panama. It is an honor to host you, and on behalf of President Laurentino Cortizo Cohen's government, we truly hope to host you for many more times to come. As we always say, Panama, puente del mundo, corazón del universo, which translates Panama, bridge of the world, heart of the universe. The India-Panama connection is the oldest in Central American region, dating back to the middle of the 19th century, when groups of Indian citizens came to Panama to work on the construction of the Panama Railway, and later, the Panama Canal in the early 20th century. Panama is the first country in Central America where India established a resident mission in 1973. Panama also has a mission in New Delhi for many years. India has already worked over the years to facilitate the exchange of ideas with Latin America and with Latin American partner nations. This includes a series of political and economically based platforms, including the India Business Forum for Latin America and the Caribbean, several editions of the India-LAC Conclave, the India-CELAC Forum, and the India System of Integration in Central America, and the India-CARICOM Dialogue, all which serve as critical exchange mechanisms for Central America and the Caribbean nations looking to engage more extensively with India. India also maintains observer status with the Pacific Alliance and has established a preferential trade agreement with Mercosur, in addition to other examples of political, economic, cultural reach aimed at strengthening ties with the entire region. Although it compromises a small share of total trade and investment, India's economic activity is deeply important for Latin America and the Caribbean. As the region grapples with the wide-ranging effects of the COVID-19 pandemic and other global economic fallouts, the expansion of Indian trade and investment with the region could certainly boost regional economic prospects. India's economy is anticipated to grow by 5% in 2023-2024, enabling continued cross-border investment in value-added sectors within the Latin American region, including information technology, IT services, pharmaceuticals, and manufacturing. According to the External Affairs Minister, Dr. Jaishankar, Indian IT services companies now employ more than 100,000 Latin Americans. In the pharmaceutical industry, 27 Indian companies operate 72 subsidiaries across the region, including 13 manufacturing plants. Latin America and the Caribbean rely on Indian drugs and vaccines to treat wide-ranging variety of conditions. Prospects for enhanced political and diplomatic cooperation are also favorable given shared interests in the area of climate cooperation, sustainable green transition, pandemic preparedness, and digital connectivity, only to name a few. Latin America has welcomed increased Indian interests and has tried to attract investment. Latin American nations can connect with Indian companies with a wider Americas market. Now that the region has been recovered from the COVID pandemic and the war in Ukraine, increased economic engagement with India is a key priority for many of the region's economies. Speaking of our bilateral relation, in the last 10 years, the total commercial movement of merchandises between Panama and India has multiplied by more than 4 times, and this without taking into account operations of the Colón Free Zone. The increase is notable both in Panamanian exports, where copper concentrate and teak stand out in the first 2 places, and in imports from our country led by automobiles and medicines. It has previously been reported that one of the biggest advantages for India to further strengthen relations with Panama is that it is blessed with probably the largest number of Indian diaspora in the entire LAC region, with approximately 20,000 Indians living in Panama. Panama is a safe and politically stable country with a dollarized economy and a year-round tropical climate. Its population is warm and receptive, has a wide range of food products, has a thriving hotel and tourism sector, and geographically is very close to a lot of our allies, including the United States and important Central and South American regions. It is considered the hub of hubs. For India, deepening relations would be advantageous to consider it as a gateway to the region, and it will be easier to connect with logistics companies, freight forwarders, 3PL, and 4PL logistics services, including warehousing, value added, and supply chain management. Some of these advantages Panama possesses will be expanded in a presentation later on during this forum. We hope that the presentations and discussions that will be given throughout the forum will not only fulfill your expectations, but will awaken interest in deepening relations between our two subcontinents. Thank you very much, and again, welcome to Panama. Bienvenidos a Panamá. Muchas gracias.
Thank you, Minister, for your message. This forum is, in a sense, a business forum that seeks to deepen commercial relations as well as invest between companies from India and Latin America. We invite Mr. Jay Shroff on behalf of the Confederation of Indian Industry, which since 1992, through rapid expansion, has become the leading business association in India. Let's hear his message. Welcome.
Thank you very much. His Excellency Dr. Jaishankar, Minister of External Affairs, Her Excellency Ms. Janina Tiwani, the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Government of Panama, His Excellency Federico Boyd, the Minister of Industries, Mrs. Carolina Espana, dignitaries, and ladies and gentlemen. I was so pleased to meet the minister whose parents were born in Mumbai like me. I'm from Mumbai. Minister, I would just like to say that while UPL is considered a local company in this region, we supply 70% of the corn seed here. We are the largest supplier of technology and products to all the farmers in Panama. And so it's a real honor for me to be here for my first visit, which is long overdue. It is an honor as CII partners with the Ministry of Commerce and Industry and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Government of Panama, the CAF Development Bank of Latin America to organize this LAC Business India Forum. It is our privilege to accompany the Honorable Minister of External Affairs, Government of India, on his very important visit to Panama. We would like to sincerely thank Minister Jaishankar for his continued support to CII and to the Indian industry for his strategic intervention, which has paved the way for taking economic engagement with various countries across the globe to new heights. Today, as I'm leading this delegation of Indian business with a wide range of sectors spanning agriculture, food processing, automobile infrastructure, including power, energy, pharmaceuticals, banking, which represents some of the key areas that offer immense scope towards future partnerships. This business forum is being organized at a very opportune time. We look forward to the deliberation and interaction with the business leaders. India and Latin America and the Caribbean share common aspirations and challenges, and India has always had the great importance for a strategic and economic engagement with the region. The Indian industry, too, is focusing on enhanced presence in Latin America through greater trade and investment portfolio, which is currently estimated to be between 12 and 16 billion. India and Panama enjoy excellent economic relationship, and there is a tremendous scope to expand bilateral trade and investment between the two countries. The preferential trade agreement signed between the two countries in 2019 provides a good platform for boosting trade and services. The agreement provides for reduced and eliminate tariff on range of products, including agriculture goods, textiles, chemicals, and others. The Confederation of Indian Industries has undertaken various initiatives to promote business linkage between the two regions as a part of the continued effort to create a platform for greater interaction between the businesses. We have organized the India LAC Conclave over the last few years. In this regard, I'm happy to inform you that the 9th edition of the CII India LAC Conclave is scheduled to be held in India on 3rd and 4th August 2023 in New Delhi. And this will be an excellent opportunity for business to meet and interact on all possible areas of collaboration. Look for partnership and joint projects, business collaboration, and explore investment opportunities. I would like to take this opportunity to cordially invite you to join us on this important event organized by CII and the Government of India. Before I conclude, let me take this opportunity to highlight some of the reasons which we believe offer potential for greater cooperation in the future. The first is information technology industry and knowledge-intensive sectors like biotechnology, innovation, including collaboration in the startup ecosystem. Second, the hub of Latin America, Panama offers a great enhanced collaboration for various service sectors like logistics, financial services, and tourism and hospitality, among others. Third is healthcare and pharmaceuticals, including R&D and new drug discovery. Fourth is agriculture and food processing is another important sector which ensures the food security of the region. Lastly, we foresee a scope for greater collaboration on clean energy sectors for sharing the best practices, sustainable technology, and green mobility, among others. Going forward, we would like our bilateral engagement to go beyond trade and investment and encompass innovation, entrepreneurship, sustainability, and others in different domains. We, with the support of the governments of both the countries, we as Indian industry look forward to the facilitative business environment to further intensify our interaction and engagement, and we look forward to a beneficial partnership for businesses on both sides. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Scharf. We continue with the agenda. CAF is a development bank committed to improving the quality of life of all Latin Americans. Its actions promote sustainable development and regional integration. It aims to become the green and blue bank and the bank of the economic and social reactivation of the region. In addition, it generates and promotes knowledge to strengthen public policies in Latin America and the Caribbean. Let us welcome the Executive Vice President of the Development Bank of Latin America, CAF, Carolina España, who will address us with opening remarks.
Buenas tardes a todos. Es un gran placer estar aquí. Les doy una
Here,
cordial
I would
bienvenida.
like to give you a cordial welcome to this forum of India, Latin America. And first off, I would like to start greeting, especially Ms. Janaina Tevani, who is the Minister of Foreign of who is the Minister of Foreign Affairs in Panama, Dr. Subramaniam Jayashankar, who is the Minister of Foreign Relations who is the Minister of Foreign Relations of India, and also the Republic of Panama, Mr. Jang Shroff, who is the President of the Federation of India, and the other Panamanian authorities. But it's also my greetings to the rest of the diplomatic body of Panama, special invitees, ladies and gentlemen. Last January 13, during the final session of the leaders of the global, the first minister Narendra Modi had discussed the first part of the Rig Veda, which is the oldest text known to humanity. Let's get together, talk together, and that our mind should be in harmony, unity in voice and in purpose. For the greater good. These are the objectives that are established by the relation of the Republic of India and Latin America and the Caribbean, an exceptional opportunity of relaunching for both regions that are projected as the central axis of the world economy of the future. The action to materialize an agenda that promotes the well-being, the progress, the sustainability, and the development is the door to enter new horizons and new hopes that proposes the report that we are presenting today. The joint work supported in scaling and diversification, the diversification of commerce and investments, added to the approach of the most urgent topics of the global agenda, have the potential to improve not just the life of our citizens, but also of the entire world. From here, we launch a message, hopeful message for a world in crisis that confronts the effects of the post-pandemic, the conflicts and the environmental challenges. We have the fourth part of the population of the world as an average age that does not go over 31 years old. And it progressed to 2,000% in the last 20 years, going through $1,600 million in 2001 at 41 billion in. We have a great space for improvement. Brazil, Mexico, Argentina were consolidated in 2021 as one of the four main commercial allies in India. And it grows in quantity and quality, and it is possible. It is also the diversification of the commercial partners, and the bases are placed. And based on the huge productive of commercial relationships, we have huge possibilities in materials such as Latin America and Caribbean have a lot to offer India in terms of food security, safe energy security, and the advances of climate change. On the other hand, the Indian investments in the region have an opportunity to promote a commercialization that can approach the labor industry, which is one of the greatest challenges of our region. The access of food security offers great synergies. Our region is consolidated as a dispense for the whole world, and the productivities of the sector offers India a bridge for learning towards challenges respecting the environment, promoting a rural sector which is more technical and productive every time. Our countries are the ones that emit the least amount of CO2 and the least index of energy consumption per capita. In spite of this, we are the most exposed to the consequences of climate change. The need to an energetic, sustainable, and fair transition that guarantees access to all of the areas of population offers opportunities to assume the latest strategies such as lithium, green energy, and solar energy. So the automobile sector has been a fundamental pillar in the industrialization in India as long as Latin America and Caribbean. The complete exchange of automotive vehicles, which $100 million, such being one of the greatest exports of the region. The production of the exports of the automotive parts of the region, other than the diversification of the commercial partners, are two elements that we need to work on at short and midterm. The automobile industry offers opportunities for the concentration of commerce, trade, and investment, especially the triangle comprised by Argentina, Bolivia, and Chile in sectors such as lithium and green hydrogen, where we have Argentina, Colombia, Chile, Colombia, Costa Rica, and Uruguay, with every time with a greater number of projects. The prioritization of the criteria of common responsibilities but differentiated in the acts that we learn are also a pathway to achieve the greatest ambitious achievements in terms of sustainability and the generation of replicable knowledge beyond our borders. In terms of health, we also observe a huge potential. Health is a global public well-being wealth. And so this is an urgency in order to strengthen our health care, preparing ourselves to future emergencies. The potential to biosimilars open to the door to new possibilities in the framework of the society. The social and bilateral trade reached $1,500 billion in 2021. With a huge increase in the last decade. In addition to biosimilars, can increase the access to determined medical treatments, the segment of vaccinations, the third pharmaceutical asset provides a huge field for joint solutions, and also it offers solutions to contemporary and global solutions. The traditional medicine has the capacity to impact the world from the global south. From the Ayurveda in India to medical traditions that are ancestral to Latin America and the Caribbean, our regions offer a unique knowledge and every time more appreciated. In the center of all of the developments, present and future developments, we have the industrialization 4.0, the technological innovation in taking advantage of artificial intelligence and the generation of knowledge are a fundamental drive in order to strengthen the well-being, sustainability, and life itself. India is the third greatest ecosystem of startups in the world and the second country in quality of innovation. On its end, our region promotes in quality investments in India through regional and provides access opportunities to new markets. The way of industrialization and innovation are filling the public active agendas that leverage the public-private initiatives. And also the margins of relations are growing vibrantly. India's sophistication technology and the electronic equipment, the advancements of financial inclusion through digital media, and the provision of services every time more specialized are both of these. A similar activity reflects, for example, in the advances in the nuclear sectors and the satellites in Argentina, the precision agriculture in Brazil, the electromobility, and the sector of automobile parts in Mexico. In addition to that, the ecosystems of innovation are strengthened very quickly, increasing this specialization that generates knowledge, employment, and infrastructure. The geographic distance has stopped from being an obstacle for the integration and the strengthening of the joint agendas. And the state works with the relation with building strong ties and spaces of joint workspaces. Prove that the roads are open. In spite of the physical distance, India exports more to Brazil and Guatemala than their own neighbors such as Cambodia, Japan, and others. On the other hand, Caribbean and Latin America exports more to India than their own partners such as Germany, France, Italy, or Spain. This strategic ties increases an effort in order to simplify certain regulations, adapting and improving the integration through improving tariffs. And so also the Latin American Caribbean can escalate in quantity and quality. The numbers and the facts show the same. And so the current report is a part of the ambitious workforce that we are ready to support. CAF, Development Bank of Latin America, under the leadership of our president, Sergio Díaz Granados, aspires to share a permanent platform of integration that promotes public-private dialogue and strengthens the exchange and contributes to the mobilization of the resources of multiple forces in order to create a strong dynamic bi-regional relationship. We are a bank by the region and for the region, a bank adjusted for its time, flexible and decentralized, that understands Latin America and the Caribbean from inside out. In half a century of operations, it has approved more than $200 billion in operations and has contributed to operate and mobilize billions of dollars from other sources. And so today we have assets of $500 billion goes forward towards a green bank and a bank of economic and social reactivation in the region. We understand Latin America and the Caribbean as a solution. We want to strengthen that dimension, share it with our strategic partners such as India, and continue growing in the favor of our citizens. We would like to accompany the incidents of our partners at geopolitical level to have a relevant role in higher agendas of global discussion. The Joint Task Force, along with in the Republic of India, amazes us and incites us. And so we would like to work jointly in order to work together for the well-being of humanity. United, we join more than a fourth part of the population of this planet. In CAF, we are convinced that the materializing a genuine human integrated development along with a joint work is possible. Our capacity to work together has been established. Let's make it grow. Let's continue working together, and let's confront with the decision the challenges that are established that establishes the present and the future. Let's continue with the beliefs of Rig Veda. In this path, without a doubt, we will reach quite far. And so I would also like to highlight the significance of this discussion as the hubs of the Americans. Without a doubt, it is a privilege in order to approach our challenges as one of the main platforms of logistic and financial platforms of the global economy, along with its high authorities and business leaders. Thank you so much.
Muchísimas gracias a la señora Carolina España. Thank you very much for your words. We're pleased to receive Her Excellency Yanaina Tawaney, Minister of Foreign Affairs, Government of Panama, who will provide us with inaugural address. Welcome also.
Thank you very much. Muchas gracias a todos. Namaskar. Bienvenidos a Panamá. Quiero primero que todo hacer un agradecimiento.
First off, I would like to specially thank CAF, their president, who is with us, Sergio Díaz Granado, Honorable Ms. Vice President Carolina España, and I would like to also especially thank the Ministry of Commerce for its support, and of course the leadership of the Minister of External Affairs, Dr. Jaishankar, the committee that accompanies him, and under the leadership of Mr. Narendra Modi, who has initiated a connection with our beloved Latin American continent. I would first off like to say that I have a written discourse here, but the emotions that I have will allow me that you accept my words, very genuine and spontaneous words today. For me, as the Minister of External Affairs or Foreign Affairs it is a very special day and very historic day for me. But above all, what fills me most of emotion is that today, Panama is fulfilling its role, as we would say, its dharma. That role of being the host country that from 1856 and maybe before has converted into the place to meet, not only to do business, but also to discuss together and solve problems. Today is special as well because I am sure that it is going to mark a before and an after in our commercial relations and political relations with India, in relation to our continent. Our continent is vast. It has a population that gives a lot to promise. But it has, in addition to that, we have a young population. I am a representative of them. We have always been believers under the leadership of President Laurentino Costizo Cohen that the youth is the future, but also is the present. The commercial exchanges that are led by the nations in common interest are based on those shared values and principles that I am sure that the values and principles that are shared in our region will be is going to be that glue that will join in a sustainable manner and will strengthen in an unbreakable manner not just the political relations but also commercial relations between our blocks. And why do I talk about youth? Today, in a very deep conversation that happened between our president and the Indian chancellor, we were able to discuss that these opportunities and these exchanges are not only going to bring forward the development of our countries, but also are going to bring forward the youth. The Latin American youth should benefit with these exchanges that we have, should benefit of these opportunities, a world that can be different, a world where there is no longer any distance, where artificial intelligence exists, a new revolution, a new technological revolution, which is the fourth industrialism, and where each and every one of us in these type of encounters has the capacity to promote development, employment, and above all, economic dynamism in all of our regions. I'm not going to extend myself anymore because I'm very anxious to hear what is going to be said in this forum. And again, welcome to Panama. Thank you so much.
Muchas gracias, ministra, por sus palabras. Please welcome His Excellency Dr. S. Jaishankar, Minister of External Affairs, Government of India, for the keynote address. Welcome to Panama.
Distinguished ministerial colleagues, members of the business community, friends and well-wishers from other walks of life who are taking an interest today. A very good afternoon to all of you. And let me begin by expressing my appreciation to CAF and CII and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and the Ministry of Trade and Industry and my own ministry for organizing this event. I arrived this morning on a super red-eye flight, and after a few cups of strong and excellent Panamanian coffee, set out to pay my respects to the President. We had, I think, as Mr. Tebani said, a very deep, for me, a very insightful conversation, listening to his views, his guidance, and then a very good session between the delegations of the two governments. So, motivated by the President encouraged by the ministerial conversation and strengthened by the coffee, I will follow Minister Tewani and do away with my prepared text. What I would like you to do is, for the next few minutes, please pay attention as I list out 10 important reasons why I believe that Indo-Panama economic business collaboration is important, why I believe it has very good prospects, and therefore why we must work towards that objective. The first, from an Indian perspective, is that as the fifth largest economy currently in nominal terms, but one which has clearly very strong growth prospects for many decades to come, India will be more and more present in different corners of the world. This is just a matter of common sense in a way. And I would say, whether we view it from the Latin American end or even from the Indian end, and in an economy of this size will surely shrink distances. And that you can already see happening. It's also happening because within India, there is a very profound transformation, a transformation which has seen, which is visible in terms of digital delivery, in terms of renewed interest in manufacturing, in an unprecedented coming together of infrastructure initiatives, and of course, a growing innovation and startup culture. So my first point, India is big, it will get bigger, it will get closer, it will be much more in your lives than it has been in the last few decades. The second is a proof of the first. Our trade is today approaching a $50 billion level. And to me, it's interesting not that just the numbers there, but also the composition of the trade, that it's a much more diversified trade basket, and that it's, in fact, its energy component. There have been times when we've hit strong numbers, but those have been largely driven by energy. This time around, it's a much more broad-based trade growth. But along with that, also a very significant increase in Indian investment. So whether it is today mining or energy or agro-industry or even I would say infrastructure projects, you have an Indian presence there which wasn't there 5 years ago, certainly not 10 years ago. And I can again confidently predict that this will only grow with the passage of time. The third factor are Indian exports. During the COVID period, we were not just busy coping with the pandemic. Prime Minister Modi consciously decided that he would use this time to initiate long-awaited reforms in India. Whether it was recapitalizing our banks, providing the necessary support for MSMEs, getting started up a lot of infrastructure projects which were pending. The result of all of that today is you have a much more competitive Indian industry, and it's visible in a record export this year of $770 billion. And just for our Panamanian friends to put that into some kind of perspective, I would say pre-COVID and post-COVID, we've seen almost $100 billion growth in our exports in manufactured goods. Now, a fourth reason. The fourth reason actually derives from the pandemic. In the course of the pandemic, India established its reputation as a pharmacy of the world by providing vaccines to almost 100 countries, medicines to 150 countries. And on a scale, because, in many cases, you actually had a 3x, 4x, 5x increase in demand during the pandemic. So to be able It wasn't just the footprint of the Indian pharmaceutical industry, it was actually their ability to ramp it up at the right time. So, for a world which values health as never before, the pharmacy of the world is going to be much more important in your lives. The fifth reason is actually the enormous progress that has been made in terms of digital delivery. Digital delivery in terms of public goods, digital delivery in terms of the tools of business as well. So we actually today, and I say this from the perspective of governance, we are today implementing schemes, programs in India which run to hundreds of millions of people. Our equivalent of the food stamp program has 800 million beneficiaries. Our health program covers 1/3 of the country. Our direct payments into people's account is more than 400 million people. The houses we provided, and all of this is digital, because at the end of the day, it is the digital backbone which allows the validation of these programs and ensuring that the benefits reach with the integrity that they deserve. So you are seeing actually an enormous digital transformation in India. Now, I'm giving you only the governance perspective. There is the business perspective. What digital has done, how it has made old businesses more efficient and spawned a range of new businesses. Today, the idea of distance health and distance education, these are not cop-outs because you could not deliver the real thing. They are seen actually as very powerful supplements, in some cases actually as the primary medium for delivering on various demands of society. But it has also changed the mindsets of people. I mean, this is the country with the cheapest data access, whose ownership of smartphones has just exploded, where today people are connected to the world as never before. So the digital transformation actually has a very, very profound impact on this society. And that, again, I would suggest to you, will have an implication, because if you take a region like Latin America, which previously people thought as being very distant, today neither someone in business, nor a private citizen, nor a government, nor a pharmaceutical supplier actually thinks of distance anymore. My sixth reason is actually in regard to the manufacturing pickup. And the manufacturing pickup, you can see it's been propelled by something called production-linked incentives, but that's only the cutting edge of what has changed. There is actually a broader support to creation of vendor chains in India, of support for MSMEs, of encouraging businesses to be competitive. And, at one level, the statement we all like to make today is to show Apple as a proof of changing India, that if Apple products are made in India, obviously something profoundly has changed in India. But again, I think it's a very, in a way, it's not necessarily even a representative example. I think what has really changed in India is our ability to produce goods on a scale to meet middle-class consumer demands. And as Latin America gets more middle-classized, I would suggest that there's a natural fit between an economy like India, which itself targets the middle class in such a strong manner. There is another aspect as well, and that is the Indian capability of projects, of project execution. This too has grown in the last 2 decades, very slowly, imperceptibly. Often, I must tell you, the government doesn't even know it. It's only when people like me travel abroad and we have the good fortune of meeting our business colleagues that we get to know often what they are doing. And it's actually quite an amazing story, that there's probably at least a good proportion of the countries in this region in some form or the other. I mean, it could be agriculture, it could be mining, it could be the power side. That there are today important projects which are being undertaken. In fact, my previous stop, I went and visited some of them. And this ability of India, so you have not only made in India in manufacturing, you increasingly have delivered by India in terms of projects. And that too, I would suggest, because I think many of our companies are globally competitive in the area of project delivery, that it is something that you should be looking at. There is, of course, aspect of business which is not often associated with India, and that is actually what Indian agriculture is doing, the kind of yields that it is producing, the kind of technologies that it is employing. Even the digital story actually has directed this, impacted it very directly. And I'm really very pleased today that we have in our midst, as the leader of the CII delegation, somebody who in many ways exemplifies that story, who's for us an established footprint in this part of the world. And so when it comes to the agriculture side of business as well, I want to emphasize is that India is very much a player there. Then, of course, there is the Indian brand. And the Indian brand, many of you know, especially after Y2K, was very much a techie brand. This is India, the IT country, which has delivery centers across the world, and it does. And it does, particularly in this geography and in languages which are, I mean, this is probably the most widely spoken language in the world. And so again, there are multiple centers or multiple companies which today have established the business. But I point out that what we used to call the IT business, but which is increasingly actually a digital business, this business today is moving towards a new I would say, filter, a new kind of benchmark, and that is that of being a trusted partner. The digital domain is a very sensitive domain. So who you work with, whether it's a company, whether it's a country, where your data goes, where it resides, who processes it, all these today are extraordinarily sensitive issues in global politics. And again, I would say to countries where, which are market economies, which are political democracies, which are pluralistic societies, the digital domain will find comfort in working in these societies. And here too, I would suggest that, there is much that India and Panama can do with each other. And my last point is actually a point of talent and skills. That when, Mr. Modi came to power 9 years ago, one of the very early points he made to us was that don't think of the world just as a marketplace. The world is also a workplace. And if we think of the world as a workplace, it is important to prepare and to polish our human resources so that we can get full advantage of that. So when you look at initiatives in India, initiatives like Skill India, Startup India, Digital India, the new education policies, these are all actually small pieces of a large mosaic. A mosaic today where you can see Indian talent and Indian skills much more active in terms of mobility. That the demand for them in countries ranging from Germany and UK on the one hand to Japan and Australia on the other, this is rising. So these, to my mind, are 10 important reasons why we need to prepare for a deeper engagement between India and Latin America. And then I would like to come specifically to an issue which I heard previous speakers mention, which was also prominent in my own discussions, and that was the issue of Panama as a hub. Now, there are hubs, and we Indians perhaps know this better than anybody else. We have a hub to the east called Singapore. We have a hub to the west called Dubai. We have a hub further west, historically, called London, which UK, which for many years has serviced a lot of our operations in Europe. We had a hub still further west in New York, which for us, again, was an operational point for much of what was happening in the Western Hemisphere. But we are today moving into a different world. It's a world in a way of much more decentralized globalization, where different regions will have their own autonomous logic, their own development, their own priorities, their own particular character. And so when we look from sitting in India at the rest of the world, think of our growing footprint as the 5th largest economy and expanding. Think of all the other capabilities that I'm talking to you about: greater investments, more exports, larger number of projects. Then the question naturally arises, what is the attraction of additional hubs? So it is really, in a sense, a question waiting to be asked. Now, how credible, how effective that hub would be, I think depends obviously very much on the country concerned, in this case Panama. Because at the end of the day, I think all of us know that the attraction of the hub is really the enabling environment in totality. That it is connectivity, it is mobility, it is the regulatory system, it is the financial system, it is the quality of governance. I mean, there are 100 parameters and probably more by which hubs are built. So what I can say is, as our Panamanian partners go about that enterprise, from the Indian side, there is surely interest. There is surely interest because, as I said, I can only see a future, short-term, medium-term, long-term, where our interest in this region, our presence in this region, our business in this region is going to grow. So for us, there will always be a demand for an efficient center from where our business operations can be conducted. So in a way, I would say it's an interesting conversation today. Certainly, in a way, it's also a challenge for our hosts. But it is a challenge where we are willing to work with you. And for me, one of the important takeaways from my call on the President this morning was his very strong interest in this regard, particularly centered around a certain set of priority industries. So I have committed to him, and I seek the indulgence of CII here. I have committed to him that when you do the Latin America summit this year, that it would be an opportunity to welcome a business delegation from here. Certainly, they should get full value of what CII would be doing. But beyond that, I would certainly like to see much more focused engagement between business of Panama and the relevant business of India. So once again, I want to say that it's been an enormous pleasure to be here. It's a journey I've long wanted to make. I promised the minister in the beginning of the year that I would come. And I hope that, our meeting today is one of many, and each time we meet, we have accomplishments to talk about, but also higher goals to set for ourselves. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. S. J. Shankar, Minister of External Affairs, Government of India, for your words. We're very pleased to have you here in Panama. And with this address, we conclude the inauguration ceremony. We invite authorities at the main table to please come to the stage where the chairs are for the officially photograph, please. Governments, ministers. Yes. Thank you. Thank you very much. Ministers of the Government of Panama, please remain on stage. We're gonna invite the members of the CII for a picture also, the ministers of Panama. Thank you. Yeah, the delegation also. Thank you. We need some help. Ayuden a mover las sillas. Muevan las sillas adelante para que ellos se puedan poner. Now we have an official picture with the members of the CII. Thank you very much. Now we conclude the inauguration ceremony. Thank you, everybody. We'll have now 15 minutes recess, so we invite all attendees to have conversations at the foyer for the formally sessions in the LAC Indian Forum. Thank you very much.